we're planning on doing. And so I'm going to share the PowerPoint first that I have. Okay, so our workshop objectives for today is to really go over this survey that I sent. It was a pre-survey for all the people who registered. And essentially, we were able to identify some common challenges that we are facing in the midst of a pandemic, budget cuts, and very little time to pivot programming to meet the needs of each school community. We're going to go over the results today to see generally what everybody is feeling and what the consensus is out there right now, okay? And then we're going to go into breakout rooms, which will be led by Tom Armstrong, our TLP Director of Programming, Jenny Greenman, our nonprofit P2L Director of Programming, and our TLP Director of Programmatic Initiatives, Matt Flint. So in response to these challenges we are facing, participants will then share their best practices, brainstorm, and problem solve together so we can feel like we're getting somewhere in dealing with some of the challenges that we're having. And throughout this whole workshop, as you look at the survey and as you think about which breakout room you want to go to, and as you begin to problem solve, I really want you guys to think about what is one thing, no matter how big or small, I can implement to combat the challenges that we are currently facing right now. So before we had, so I think there's about 62 people that registered. About 25 or 30 people did the survey, which is about half, but it's a good, I think it's a good, it gives us a really strong idea of what's happening out there right now. But before we launch into the challenges that we're all having right now, I did want to shout out and highlight all the things that are going well right now. So, you know, I did ask in the survey, what are some successes you're having as an organization right now? And there's, you know, people are forming new partnerships. There is an uptick in parental engagement, connecting parents who are joining programming with their child. I mean, how incredible is that? When do we have parents joining after school programming or daytime programming with their kids and getting a front row seat to what's happening out there? We are building strong bond, that should say bond with stakeholders. I would say CBOs across the board are saying that their online and frontline staff are responsible, flexible, and committed and able to adapt to all of these COVID-19 regulations and not even blink an eye. The students have become more interested in helping one another complete their work. And we were successfully able to pivot to a 100% virtual program within just a few weeks. So there are organizations who feel that they have been able to do that really well and really quickly and are successful in doing so. We have more and more students registering and are almost fully staffed. So people are feeling they're not just stuck in these low numbers, right? There are CBOs that are feeling that things are happening and numbers are increasing and things are improving as we progress. And we acknowledge our students, and because of this, they want to make the right decisions. You know, there's great work happening out there right now. There's successful departmental-wide agency events. And overall, I received a lot of really great comments where people talked about positive feedback that they're getting from their students, teachers, and parents. So this is no small feat right now. There's a lot happening in the world and there's a lot working against us. So I really want to applaud all of you for the successes that you are having right now, because it's a big deal. So congratulations for all of these successes. And I hope that you will be able to walk away today building more successes for your company as we continue to figure out how we can solve some of these challenges that we're having collectively. So the next slide is going to highlight the survey results. I will say this, almost all of the challenges that were mentioned could fall under three large categories. So essentially you'll see the three things that came up the most for everybody across the board who participated in this survey was 32% said attendance, recruitment, and retention, which also includes target numbers. They were struggling with parent engagement, was 30%, and 31% in between the two was people really were struggling with enriching and engaging virtual programming and lessons, coming up with those consistently, getting kids to log on, especially after they've been on screens all day. And then the 2% categories are smaller, but it also did come up, I would say, with more than 5 people, was the overall burnout, how to avoid it. A handful of people also really felt that they were struggling with deadlines, how to stay on top of them. They feel like deadlines are constantly changing. And COVID-19 overall was just something that people are struggling with generally, which was 2%. And then there was a smaller 1% other, which basically just came up once or twice. But I just want to mention, because these are also challenges that people are, more than one CBO is having. And that was specifically tracking the school day support in easy reports, which is something we can address. I can talk to Alita, the Technical Assistance Center, and Melissa and Lori to see if they're covering that in the easy report training that's been happening. And also a few people did ask, is the big question is the state going to lower target numbers? What does that look like? And again, your DOE program managers are giving you that information as it happens, and we will get that information as soon as they hear from the state. So these are the survey results. Before I go into what we're going to do next, does anybody have any questions? Danny, can you tell me if there are any questions coming up in the chat box? Does anyone want to get off their camera and talk about anything that they see here? Is anyone having a response, a reaction to some of these things? Are you surprised?
No questions yet or comments.
No questions yet or comments? Okay. So this is good, because then we're going to have more time potentially. So next, you're going to choose which breakout room you want to participate in. I'm going to let you guys choose which area you want to focus on. And collectively, you're going to focus on problem solving for these larger topics. As you decide which breakout room you want to participate in, I just want you to think about that, a few things. You're going to be breaking down each topic into specific issues. So you can use this as an opportunity to also focus on areas that we may not have gone over yet, that I didn't highlight or didn't show up specifically in the survey, or maybe you weren't able to take the survey, so you can also bring that up in your group. So for example, in the attendance, recruitment, and retention, you can bring up with the group how to solve the problem of hitting target numbers, or how to get kids to log in and get them excited about logging in. So again, I just want to let everyone know that you can break these down into smaller things that are affecting you more specifically in your work and your team and the students that you serve. Yes.
There's a question. How long are the breakout rooms?
So it is right now 10:12. We want to basically come back together at 10:50. So it's a little bit over 30 minutes that you'll have in the breakout sessions together. And you'll be able to hit as many of these topics as possible. And there'll be, again, one person leading the brainstorm and problem solving session in each breakout room. Okay. Any other questions? All right. So here you'll see the breakout rooms are in the 3 categories we talked about. There's attendance, recruitment, and retention, which Matt will be leading. Enriching and engaging online lessons and activities, providing them, making them, how to adapt them. These are all things that anything that you feel like that is coming up for you that falls under engaging lessons and activities, specifically virtual. Tom will be leading that. And then parent engagement overall, Jenny will be leading in the 3rd breakout room. So any questions? Nothing yet? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. And Danny is going to allow people to choose which breakout room they want to. I also want to share one more thing. Lori, Melissa, and Alita, who are from the Technical Assistance Center, they will not be in the breakout rooms. We wanted to give you guys an opportunity to have no filter, to say what you need to say, because sometimes you got to get it out there before we can come to a solution together. So they will be here though for the presentation portion where you'll be sharing your solution so they can also hear what your concerns are and what's happening right now. So again, your breakout rooms will just be your colleagues and someone from TLP or P2L leading the session. Okay. All right. So Danny, you want to bring up the breakout rooms and you guys can choose accordingly.
Okay, so you should all have the ability to select. So I'm going to open all the rooms now, and you should have 3 options that you can, are they popping up for you? At the bottom, you'll see the attendance, recruitment, retention, enriching and engaging online lessons, and parent engagement. And if anyone's having difficulty, I can assign you.
I don't see anything.
I don't see anything either.
Okay, no worries. Sometimes it depends on what Zoom you have.
Might,
so
guys, you might have to click on
So
breakout.
let me talk you through it. If you're not seeing anything, take your mouse or your mouse, you're going to scroll to the bottom and you see there's a red leave button. So there should be a more. If you look, there's a more option with the 3 dots. And if you hover over it or click on more, the join breakout room will appear. And then you click on join breakout room and that will enable you to choose which room you would like to go in.
I don't have any more.
no worries. So Alan, which room would you like to go to and I can assign you?
Yes. Tom,
Which
The one with
we
Tom. About, let me tell you, it said,
is it the attendance, enriching or parent engagement?
no, the enriching engagement, yeah.
Okay. Is anyone else having difficulty logging in?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. Can I go to the recruitment and retention?
You got it. Let me find your name. Next,
Good morning.
who needs help? Good morning.
Yes. Can I do attendance and retention as well?
You got it, Nicole.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Who's next?
Esther would also like enriching
Enriching? Okay.
and engaging online lessons and activities. Yes, please.
Boom. Who's next?
Robin would like attendance, recruitment, and retention, please.
You got it. Who needs a breakout room? Gabe,
Amanda
enriching.
Cruz also would like to go into enriching and engaging online lessons and activities.
You got it. And
As would Gabe.
as well. Okay. Sean Henry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And hi, Mike. I know you just joined us. We're breaking out into breakout rooms, and there are 3 options. We have attendance, recruitment, retention. We have enriching and engaging online lessons and parent engagement. So you could tell me verbally, or you could write it in the chat which one you would like to join, and I can move you there. And anyone else as well. If I'm missing you in the chat box, I apologize.
So Danny,
Okay, I'm
give
sorry.
it a
Say it
couple-
again.
Sure. Hi, Mike. So we have attendance, recruitment, retention as 1. Then we have enriching and engaging online sessions, like how to make your programming like wow, and parent engagement.
Wow.
I know, lots of choices.
All 3 sounds. Oh my goodness. Hold on,
No
let me
worries.
change.
Could I send you to parent engagement? Would you mind?
We're having issues with all 3 of those.
Yeah. We don't have too many people
Sure,
in
I
parent
guess.
engagement. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Sure, that'll work. Yeah, no problem.
And Mike, this will be recorded afterwards, so you can get it on the website.
then I can send it to you.
Fantastic. Is that everyone?
Danny, just assign the last 3 to a breakout
Oh,
room.
sure. You got it.
So nobody is left in the main room.
Sure. And just to
Except for
confirm,
Lori,
Amanda.
Melissa, and Alita.
Okay.
Nicholas is part of the Rest of State Resource Center, and he's not going to join.
Okay, so he'll
Okay.
stay.
Perfect.
He'll stay.
Okay, so Amanda. I might not.
Oh, I forgot to ask, are the breakout rooms going to be recorded?
No. The recording
No.
stays with me since I'm in the main room.
Yeah. So none of the breakout rooms are recorded.
Yeah.
There's no.
So, Amanda, I don't know if you're there, but if you could click to move to a breakout room, thank you. Is that everyone? Arlene?
Yeah, send her to a breakout room.
Okay, Arlene, if you could hear my voice, please click on the breakout room.
Arlene has a small daughter, so sometimes she has to kind of run off to do stuff.
Totally understand.
Yeah.
Do
I can
you,
pause the recording for now.
ladies, have any questions for me about the survey results or anything you want me to talk through deeper?
I would like to go to the coffee and caffeine workshop.
You and me both. I have a huge coffee. Right?
Melissa got hers. You have your tea, Lori?
You're on mute, Lori. I can't hear you.
Recording.
So for independent work, you're going to complete the works in slides and following the directions on each one. So underneath.
Hello.
Hi, welcome back, everyone.
And again, this is just part 1. So it's asking what is a mineral. So you will read this excerpt here and you will answer each question, and that way
Matt got a shout out from Nuri for facilitating and taking notes. So if everyone could mute again, I do hear some background TV noise. Thank you. So then you'll be able to hear the presenter better. So as you come back, just make sure to mute. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to dive right back in. We have each group has now, give or take, 7.3 minutes. So let's start with group 1, attendance, recruitment, and retention, which Matt led. So who's going to present for that group?
I'm going to do it. I was going to get someone, but we had to move so fast I didn't get a chance to have a volunteer. So,
all right.
Let me just share my screen so you can see what I wrote. Simple Word doc here, nothing too fancy. So the way that my group, I had a fantastic group, by the way, of who really contributed and, across a range of different types of services and activities they're providing. So it was really great to have them together. But some of the things that came up for us about the problem itself is that kids are burned out. They're online all day long. They're registering, interestingly, but not showing up. We're not getting the numbers we need, and we're not sure what will happen. So there's uncertainty about what happens if we don't hit our target. Another challenge is paying staff, whether they have 1 student or 10 students. Same for high school students. Their students are showing up or signing up, but not showing up, which is difficult, because in this case, parents are not deciding for the students. The timing for high school students might be off. Some people pointed out that the high school students are not showing up for after school, but they're getting communication from the students late at night, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, which is interesting. They're already at home, so there's not the same this is for younger, but all ages. They're already at home all day, so there's not the same need to attend after school as there is when people are out and people are going to school and parents are working outside of the home. So there's less need for that after school when everyone's already at home. Parents only tend to want the in-person services, even though they're signing their kids up. So that's something we keep seeing is parents are signing their kids up, but yet somehow the kids are not showing up. Again, an echo for all of that, just too much time online. Surveys have gone out to parents, especially for high school, asking if they would like to change the time, if something could be different. Parents say no, they want to keep that time. And yet, again, kids aren't really showing up. Distractions are a bigger problem while at home. It's just not the same as in person. When you're at home, you know, you have a parent talk to you, a brother or sister, you know, have a, you know, games, you have all the stuff that can distract you while you're home that you wouldn't have if you're in the classroom. So it takes a lot more virtually to keep them engaged while they're home. Move, you know, an idea might be to move things to Saturday program, Saturday times, but that may mean that they don't meet the requirements of the grant during the week, which is a challenge. Staff resigning, you know, whether they just can't do it, or they're burnt out, whatever the reason is, staff just, you know, not enough staff to do these things. Tech not having access to the classroom, no DO email. That's been a big one for us as an organization, but I know for other people as well, just the delays that happen when there's no DOE email. Visibility, a disconnect between the program, the CBO, what it's offering, and then the school itself. So not the two not working in conjunction or not being aware of what the other one's providing. Saturdays may not be an option for some students. And then again, tech issues very broadly. Here are some solutions that the group came up with. More collaboration is needed with CBOs and the DOE. There needs to be a more cohesive bond so that from the perspective of the CBO, the DOE has a better sense of what the challenges are and what the CBO is going through and what's making it more difficult. Asynchronous teaching helps as part of an offering. So if you have after school from, you know, I think was it Melissa mentioned like 3 to 7 or something like that. It's a big chunk of time. So maybe throwing in some asynchronous teaching into there can really help for the teachers and the students. Increase with school collaboration. This can help visibility. Participate in a PTA meeting, post on the school Instagram page, school website, find ways to just increase the CBO presence and let the parents and school community know what's being offered. Utilize Saturdays to provide services and as an alternative to be online too much during the week. This can help, you know, students, again, the one thing we're seeing quite a bit, they're online all day. After school is just more time online. So maybe Saturdays, they'll be more inclined to participate again online. Let staff be a part of the decision-making about how and when services are provided. That's a great one. Ask the staff, you know, get their feedback, what's working, what do they think could be done, changed, what could be improved, see what feedback they have as you make decisions. Building teacher relationships, you know, this is another important one, whatever that looks like, but getting those relationships there so the teachers know what's going on. You know, they're engaging with the students and the parents almost daily. So the more they know, the more of a resource they can be for the program. Communication between what's happening during the day and what's happening in 21st century programs. This helps to create a space for more collaboration. So again, communication with not just the school, but the administration, teachers, just so that there's more understanding of what's taking place between the two, so that the left hand knows what the right hand is doing. This can help address challenges that each is having. Create a weekly platform online, a link up. This is something that we're doing in one of our schools for high school students, a place for students to hang out and chat and have a safe space to come and just be together. So it's not necessarily a club with an agenda. It's just a place where, hey, let's all get together, let's chat, let's hang out, let's talk, and let's be together. Using an online referral form. This is something that Sean mentioned that they guidance counselors and teachers can use to refer students to the program, which is great. Once the school community knows about these programs, they can use this platform called Get Feedback, and they can automatically refer students who they think would be a good fit to the program directly to the site coordinator or CSD or whoever needs that information. So that's what we got.
Matt, can you go back up to create a Google Classroom? You missed that one to get around tech issues.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's an important one.
On your own to get around DOE tech issues. Yeah. I think Melissa offered that one. Yeah.
Lori.
Yeah, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I heard, offering Saturday activities might be an option, and you can definitely put in a second fall program modification and add Saturdays. The state would approve that. I think that's a great option.
Cool, thank you.
And Lori, just to clarify for everybody here, that would contribute to the overall hours that they have to provide per week.
Yes.
Correct? Yes.
So I think, yeah, Angelo, if he's still on here, that was a concern for him.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Hi, Angelo.
Yeah.
And Yindi, I don't know how to get my hand off there. Let's see, a lower hand.
I'm just gonna keep asking you, Lori, what's your next question?
All right.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing unless there's any other questions.
Okay, that is fantastic. So
All right.
Matt will stop sharing. Does anybody have any comments or questions? You could just go off of mute or type it in the chat box before we move on to the next group.
I have one
Yeah.
comment or clarifying thing for Lori. So yeah, that idea of Saturdays, just for clarity for the group, it's really not, generally speaking, my understanding is that it's not so much about after school as out of school time is what you're trying to hit with those hours, correct? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of us, and we're expected to have 15 hours per week, you know, traditionally after school. But I mean, in this environment, the state's being a bit more flexible about that. And it's actually not healthy for kids to be online, you know, 15 hours a week. I couldn't do it as an adult. So yeah, I think that if you think you have an audience for Saturday, I think it's a great option.
That's great.
So there was a question in the chat. Can you give information link for get feedback from Jenny? That was Sean Reyes who offered that. So maybe he can tell you that, Jenny.
Great. Okay, that was wonderful. That was really strong brainstorming and some great solutions. So I hope that we can utilize some of that. And we will compile all of the notes from this session and all of the links that we come up with, and all of the participants will be emailed the PowerPoint and the notes at the end of the workshop, okay? All right, so moving along, enriching and engaging online lessons and activities. Tom Armstrong.
I'm muted, sorry. Hi, everybody. So yeah, we started out by just kind of rephrasing it in terms of a problem statement that we could all agree on was actually the problem we were addressing before breaking it down into the smaller pieces. So we said, we are collectively finding it challenging to provide consistently enriching and engaging online lessons and activities while still meeting our grant mandates. As we progressed, you know, this is actually very much like the topic that Matt just presented on. This is basically like a sibling or something like that to that problem. They're very, very similar. But here's some of the specific issues. We skipped over what contributes, and specific issues were actually very similar. So specific issues were, one thing we talked about kind of heavily was that there's technical issues related to internet service, et cetera. So this person suggested, like, we need to give benefit of the doubt to the students because the instructors are also often dealing with the same thing. I might be on this call now and suddenly freeze. That's something that does happen in the world. So yeah, giving the benefit of the doubt to students when that happens, but that is a problem. And how do you keep engagement up? No matter how great your lesson is, if your video's lagging and their video's lagging and there's spotty service, especially with the communities we serve, that's going to be even more prevalent. So how than it is, you know, in some other, you know, it's something that we should assume can be an issue as we go forward with our instruction. So how that's one of the problems. Doesn't matter how good my lesson is, if my kids can't actually see it because they have tech issues, that's a problem. Students with special needs. How do I practice differentiated instruction online? I might know how to do that in person, but I have a harder time doing it online. And the instructor is not always aware of student-specific learning needs. We put this one because in orange, because it was something we might not be able to have a lot of control over, but noise in the background, disruptors on both sides of the screen. So a lot of it was sort of very practical stuff that gets in the way of instruction. Staff who are great in person, but not necessarily effective online as instructors. So how do we provide training for that? And how do we hire for that? And then staff person's remote work environment may not be conducive to effective instruction. They may lack appropriate space, materials, technology, et cetera. And then we went into our brainstorming solutions. We also did talk, as we were brainstorming, more into content specific stuff, but you can see a lot of our specific problems were related to tech issues and practical side of instruction. So I asked a question, what if you had a magic wand and or money was not I'm going to open up my chat. I see someone putting a chat in there. Where is it? Where'd my chat go?
I'll worry about the chat. You go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
So what if you had a magic wand and our money was not an issue, right? We didn't spend a lot of time here, but if we had more money, we could provide a webcam for all students, especially K through 3 who actually like to do that. 4 to 5 don't want camera or chat, but perhaps if they had a built-in camera or something that was nice, they might do it. Providing a laptop, computers for all learners, one for each child, right? These are the dreams, but it would be amazing if we didn't have one, device for a family, but actually laptops for each kid. That would probably help. But anyway, and also Wi-Fi in all communities. But here we go. Okay, other possible solutions. Those ideas actually did feed into some of what we came up here, but mandate that parents should be present during all virtual programming. This is something that one CBO does. This way parent can support and also observe potential behavioral challenges that they weren't otherwise aware of with their student. CBO staff are hearing from parents that they are sometimes observing behaviors they were not formally aware of. So that can engage the parents more in managing that. When we share materials with our families, this is what someone said, I'm typing literally what they said. When we share materials with our families, we have higher engagement. Put together kits for the families, purchasing piano keyboards, I said, is one example for piano clubs. But it could be like just art supplies, canvases, paint, some kind of packaging that goes to the home. Because when the students have that at home, they're more likely to get engaged. And if you say, go to the cupboard, find some scissors, I may or may not have scissors, but if you send it to them, they're more likely to have some of the things that they need. I love this one, creating studio space. Actually, I loved all of the ideas that came out, but this was I thought about this one for us too. Creating studio space for staff. So we have a lot of unused space right now in New York City and in our CBO offices. So can you use that unused space at the CBO office that has Wi-Fi, chalkboard, et cetera, so that instructors can broadcast from that space? Keep it organized, CDC compliant, et cetera. This helps with supplies, tech, and mental health as you get a chance to, so your instructors get a chance to leave home and feel like they're actually going to the office space. But if they can have some little, studio spaces there, they're dedicated for teaching artists to go and teach. To assist students with special needs, can DOE or OCS provide paraprofessionals somehow to assist, was a question. Provide scheduled trainings for staff on how to effectively provide online instruction. So just remember to provide these regular professional development like this here right now, and a lot of what the tech support does and what TARC does, but also as a CBO, are you providing adequate training for your staff to catch them up? Online resource provided by Roblox. So if you can Google this, but there's an online resource provided by them on how to use their games as instructional tools, so that you're not just having Roblox or video game club, but actually it's being used to meet your grant mandates. Provide check-ins with all participants to build relationships, so they look forward to the activities, social time, breakout rooms, connect to friends, have smaller circles of chats, any way to mimic what they might get during lunchtime normally as well. Find ways to do the things you used to do in person, birthdays, silly holidays, ways to earn points and awards, things that make a program feel like home. Get out of your crisis mode and into the basics of what made your program feel like a safe space. Participant buy-in, voice and choice, get feedback from students. However, sometimes with rotating attendance, it's hard to know who to cater to. So offer 2 activity options might be possible. Then the students can choose which they want. Someone had this was great. Someone has a club activity rather than group activity model. 4 days of the week, they have set activities, but then 1 day of the week, it's open to anybody that wants to attend. So K through 5 can go to dance if that's what they want to do. But that's 1 day a week, and all the other ones, they're set activities for the particular grades. Adapt a schedule based on 6-week basis, like we've done in the past. Most successful activities are the ones which students interact with each other, using Kahoot, for example. Send out weekly schedule of classes and break down supplies they need. That's us. Over to you, Yindi.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much, Group 2. Those are, Lori has her hand raised, so I'm going to jump to Lori before going. Yes.
I always have to put my 2 cents in, right?
I love it.
No, but I wanted to say I heard some amazing ideas, like if you could have unlimited funds. And I just want to make sure everybody's aware that New York State Ed did something this year that they've never done, which is they allowed grants to roll over funds from unspent funds from FY20 into FY21. So talk to your, if you're not aware of that, talk to your supervisors, say, hey, we got extra cash. What are we gonna do with it? Can we buy webcams? Can we set up a studio space? Let's do it. I think those are great ideas.
Yeah, they're really fantastic. And they're really out of the box to help mitigate some of these problems that we're having with virtual programming. Any other thoughts or comments or questions for Tom's groups? Yes, for the parents being present for virtual programming, is that elementary or after school program? Tom, did your group talk about that? Was it more for elementary or middle school?
It was elementary school.
Okay. Thank you.
I think I had something, just a quick comment. I think the that group touched base on the hiring process in terms of having people, staff that may have issues facilitating an online activity. I think we were thrown into this whole virtual world haphazardly, unfortunately, and I think that should be something that's integrated in every CBO's sort of hiring process in terms of, if they're going to hire frontline staff, whether it's a tutor, activity specialist, group leader, or what have you, that they have experience teaching online activities and knowing how to facilitate that. And then there should be routine, just like I completely agree with that, routine type of online training for staff to help them engage and help them facilitate something online. But since this new world that we're going into, I think that should definitely be integrated in like the whole hiring process in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, Deanne, I agree. And also I have to give kudos to the TARC Center. They really have made that a focus. If you look at a lot of the professional development that's being offered, it really is how to help staff pivot to that virtual learning. So there's virtual facilitation techniques. There's how to take a lesson that you do in person and how to actually transform that so it works online. So that's definitely something that we can also continue to support on this end as well as we navigate this together, for sure. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, or concerns? Okay, Jenny is our last group with parent engagement. So the floor is yours.
Right, thank you. I'm sharing my screen as well. And thank you to, we have Melissa from Brooklyn, Amanda from Troy, Mike from Hudson County, and then Naomi joined us as well. Pardon?
Michelle.
What did I say?
Melissa.
I said Melissa. Oh my word.
It's okay. It's okay. No worries.
Forgive me, Michelle. Hi. Okay. So we had a small and mighty group. So just some of the specific pieces related to struggles with parent engagements. As we've heard before, logging in, tech barriers, lack of Wi-Fi was really instructive to have some folks from upstate speaking about the struggles of the rural communities. Some of what their districts have done is providing hotspots and Wi-Fi on buses that actually park in a certain area and the families come there. Sometimes the onus is on the parents to know what questions to ask. What are the convenient times to ask parents to log in? They're working during the day, they're dealing with their families at night. Sometimes the staff is also overwhelmed. Under some of the grants, the staff only work during the days, no nights or weekends, which makes it more difficult. The racial and demographic disparities that exist, particularly related to Wi-Fi. Then sometimes the families that are keeping their students home out of fear, who say that they prioritize education, are also not really enforcing their students to log on. So there's a sort of a disconnect. So struggling to connect those families, educate and support them. And then parents confused about the expectations for their kids, what the lessons are on tech. So if we had a magic wand, so the factors, whoops, that are not in our control, are are just sort of like, can we get more flexibility in the grant? So sort of in the use of funds, in the schedule of services, which thank you, Lori, you cleared that up a little bit. And then sort of what counts, what constitutes family engagement? Can we just kind of hang out and do something fun with families, or do we have to be teaching them something serious? And so we're doing a lot with our existing magic, which are the factors are in our control. So again, here's this interesting idea of incentives, which technically aren't allowed in the 21st century grant, but we can support families and students, as we've heard before, with supplies and educational materials. So Michelle sent all of her students kits for kids, sending workout gear for parents who join a fitness club, sending cooking supplies connected to a cooking program. So, making sure that the families have what is needed to actually take part in our activities and workshops. Connecting with other programs like a food pantry. So when on distribution days, Michelle from Aspira, she comes to, that's when she distributes her flyers and other materials and gets to say hello to folks. Having students and parents logging on together. Of course, supporting in the distribution of hotspots or Wi-Fi whenever that's available, whenever we can help. Amanda has added a Check and Connect program, particularly for the students who are remote only. So intentionally reaching out to those students and families to troubleshoot solutions with them, like we're doing with ourselves today. Like, what are your barriers? How can we remove some of those barriers for you? Making use of various communication platforms like Class Dojo, Remind, Google Classroom, Jupyter. So of course you have to connect with your principal or your IT, get permission to do that. Get the information so that you can join. And then once you're there, sharing pictures, sharing good news. Mike, they have a Facebook page, they have a YouTube channel, both are linked to the other. They use Google Forms as a way to track who's logging on and then following up with those folks, which is amazing. So of course, this all comes to partnering with your parent coordinator, your principal, your other school staff to either piggyback on existing events or get their support for your CBO-led events. Adding pre-recorded options, maybe someone from TARC can just make sure we get a thumbs up for that. And sort of following the same model that they do for students with an interactive activity and some sort of follow up so that someone has really actually participated. And using that as an engagement and taking attendance through that, working with other organizations to provide specialized services. So for example, in Troy, where their staff does not work in the evening, they are connecting to a local, forgive me, it's not an orchestra, but it is a music group for them to provide videos of their performers that families can connect to. Some of Mike's folks are doing like 10-minute videos on what it means to be a good friend. So that was connected to a lesson that they're working on. Use feedback from Google Forms and create classes and workshops based on participant interests and requests. Some of the things that we're trying at P2L are family watch parties, family game nights, and Michelle is doing a family paint night, and again, making sure that the families have the materials that they need to join on. And folks, have I missed anything super important here from our group? All right.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to add
go
the
ahead.
other activity, so you said the paint night, and I'm also doing a STEM night with the
Oh, STEM, excuse me.
Yeah,
Okay.
in March. No, it's fine, it's fine.
And again, like making sure they have the right materials that they need. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing so I can come back and see everyone's faces, and happy for any comments or questions.
Yes.
Or
Are there any
additions.
other thoughts or questions or anything else you want to ask the parent engagement group? Yes, Melissa.
I have a question. So the family engagement, did you guys talk on parent workshops as well? Because I do parent workshops now, actually, for a cooking workshop with the parents, but I feel like they go hand in hand. So I'm just trying to, figure out a way to get around that, or if you guys touch base on it at all.
Well, that's such a great question. So interestingly, yes, formal parent workshops, I are sort of included in some of this. I think that we kind of just got off on a track of sort of what are the non-traditional ways, and or what are the like fun things that we can attach. Excuse me, I'm going to backtrack. Parent workshops can be really fun, but what are the other things that we can attach around them to kind of bring the families in and build relationships with them? So in my mind, parent workshops were definitely included in sort of how are we wrapping them into these ways of connecting. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it makes sense. I just don't want to double dip, I don't want anybody to come back and say, oh, well, you have to have this, set apart from a parent workshop. You know what I mean?
Got it. No, that's great. And if anyone from TARC wants to, like we said, like what's the flexibility of defining, like.
Well, I also feel like this is a great opportunity just in your brainstorm, Jenny, is if there is, let's say you're working on resume building with families, it's a great way to tie in a family game night as well. Like you can partner these together. So you're not necessarily double dipping, but actually providing fun and information at the same time. So maybe your informational portion is shorter, and then they'll stay on for a game night, but I think online you need something to entice the parents right now. I'm a parent, I'm going to be honest. I don't want to log on right now for parent workshops because I'm on screens all day and it's really hard. So I think in all of this brainstorming and thinking outside of the box, we're thinking, how can we entice parents? It might be hard to entice parents right now to talk about different ways to communicate with teachers, and their different ways children communicate in different communication styles, but you could give them that information and then do a family bingo night, So I think really that's the key part in this parent engagement problem solving session, is really how to entice parents and to switch it up a little bit while we pivot to remote.
And Yindi, this is Alita Martez. So yeah, I think you're spot on, totally spot on with that. You got to remember also, parent engagement is a continuum, and so it's like I'm a parent as well. And just because someone has a bunch of workshops doesn't mean necessarily I want to come if you're not continually engaging with me. And I'm not saying that you're not, I'm saying that I think it's a good idea to combine the engagement with what you also have to do per the grant, right?
Absolutely. Thank you, Alita. All right. So in closing, there are some really great problem solving sessions. We have so many lists of things I feel like we can pull from. Are there any other questions or comments, or do you want to go back?
Real quick,
Alita?
Yindi,
Yeah.
I put in the chat, please stay tuned for more information about Future Now 2021. The date went out June 10th. Sorry to do a commercial at the end.
Love it,
and and also, I don't know if you guys saw the Beyond Schools conference. It's coming up on February 17th. It's, if you want to be a presenter, I heard some great ideas here today. If anyone wants to apply to be a presenter, it's free for you. Otherwise, you do have to pay. But if you need any more information about those things, reach out to the Resource Center.
Thank you, Alita. All right. Any other questions about any of the 3 categories and topics that we went over? Okay, if not, I'm here and I'll stay online a little bit if anybody wants to talk through anything else or have any other questions or concerns. I do invite you now to fill out the survey that Danny's going to put in the chat box. But also, since it did come up so much here and there in our problem solving sessions, I would love for anyone, if there's any burning topics that you want TARC to consider and look over to have a workshop around, please put that in the chat box as well. And Tom really wanted to share with the group that he's so impressed with how generous everyone is with sharing their experiences and expertise. Yes, thank you everyone so much for this information. And again, please, I hope you walk away thinking with a handful of things that you can apply immediately to your ongoing challenges that you're having. And thank you again for being here, everyone. I really appreciate your presence and your expertise today. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
And before
Thank
you
you,
hop
everyone.
off, Before you hop off, I did put the link in. I'll put it in again, but if you can also just write your name and your CBO right before you log out so that we have the end of day attendance.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, TLP, you amazing.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you, Alita, Lori, and Melissa for joining us today. It was so great to have you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
You too.